Hi guys. So the research article that I found for this week was titled "The Value of Crowdsourcing," and its goal was to contribute their findings into the debate of whether users can compete with professionals in generating new product ideas. And so a little background on this debate. Some argue that a truly creative idea for a new product is often out of the scope of the normal experience of the consumer, meaning that users might be too accustomed to current consumption conditions and therefore prevent them from predicting and shaping the future. However, there are examples that contradict this, like that of user innovation in open source software such as Apache or Linux, which is developed exclusively by a community of users rather than professional software developers employed by firms. Those in favor of user innovation argue that firms that rely too heavily on their internal expertise might be blocked from finding alternative, potentially more successful solutions. And so, to put it in other words, prior knowledge and experience concerning what has technically worked or not in the past block the divergent thinking skills necessary for developing truly novel solutions, whereas users were not hampered by knowledge of how current technologies operate. So in the article, they conducted an experiment. Essentially, what they did was to choose a company that would fulfill their criteria. That is, that they used internal professionals to generate new product ideas and willing to launch a simultaneous idea generation contest in order to collect user ideas, and also willing to evaluate all ideas regardless of their source. They chose a leading company in the baby products market called Baymed, and so the problem in the market research conducted by the company has shown that consumers experience a strong need for solutions that make the additive feeding of babies with mash and solid food more convenient for both parents and babies. Ideas generated by professionals led to a total of 51 ideas, and 70 users submitted their new product ideas via their website. The quality of these ideas was assessed by two executives from the company, and they were also responsible for deciding which ideas would finally pass the gate to the next new product development stage. They were also blind to the source of these ideas. The ideas were measured using three key variables. The first is the novelty of the idea, the value of the idea in terms of its ability to solve the underlying problem, and lastly, the feasibility of an idea in terms of how easy it could be translated into a commercial product. What they found was, on average, user ideas score higher in novelty and customer benefit, but lower in feasibility. Even more interestingly, they found that user ideas are placed more frequently than expected among the very best in terms of novelty and customer benefit. In fact, some of the top 19 user ideas were finally selected by the company to pass the gate for the next new product development stage. And so I also found a blog on a successful hackathon. An event called the Catapult Hackathon set up a challenge which was to identify how space technologies and data could be used to benefit Rwanda. One person, Francisco Luisi, decided to change the challenge. He and other software developers that he was exchanging ideas with at the hackathon came up with an app that provides recommendations to coffee farmers based on weather conditions. He said, quote, "We started to realize that one of the main problems was pest and disease and the connection between these diseases and climate. So we wanted to develop something that would give coffee growers an early warning. And so that was the beginning of WeatherSave, a startup which is developing software to provide coffee farmers with an early warning service coupled with practical and targeted suggestions on the actions they should take to mitigate and prevent risks by the weather and climate changes." And so I also found a technology that uses crowdsourcing called ushahidi.com. Ushahidi means testimony in Swahili and was developed in Kenya in 2008 to map numerous reports on post-election violence. It started when Ori Okola, a blogger, simply asked her readers, any techies out there willing to do a mashup of where the violence and destruction is occurring in Google Maps. A few days later, Kenyans had a website that allowed people to text or email reports and see them plotted on a Google map of the country. It became useful not only for rapid intervention, but as the name suggests, to document the deaths, injuries, and destruction when virtually all other media were blacked out. Since then, Ushahidi has become as ubiquitous in a disaster as the Red Cross. After the earthquake in Haiti, volunteers mapped the incidents that needed rescuers' attention. Ushahidi has shot reports of election fraud in Mexico, damage caused by the Gulf oil spill, and critical shortages of important medicines at public health clinics in Uganda. And so to answer the question of whether the information on crowdsourcing site is trustworthy, Ushahidi tries to do that again with crowdsourcing. Its Swift River project aggregates and plots on maps not only data sent or texted to Ushahidi, but combines it with data from Twitter, YouTube, and other sources. When data comes in, anyone can rate it for trustworthiness, and so the higher the rating it gets, the more prominently it is displayed.